If you love gingerbread cookies, then this is the recipe for you. This is my mom's recipe. It's from one of those old cookbooks that she's had forever. I've been making these my entire life. They're soft and chewy, and that smell, oh my gosh, it reminds me of Christmas morning. I love these cookies, and I know you're gonna love them too. Hey everyone, it's Dorothy with crazyforcrust.com, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, I'm taking you back in time to one of my most fond childhood memories, making gingerbread cookies. Gingerbread is seriously one of my favorite. I love them all year long. Molasses, just the smell of molasses transports me to my childhood. I love these cookies because they're soft and chewy, they're easy, makes a ton, so they're perfect for the holidays. For more delicious desserts and easy recipes, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Now let's get in the kitchen. You can use a hand or a stand mixer, it doesn't matter. Just make sure if you're using a hand mixer that you're using a really large bowl, because this is makes a lot of dough. Start off by adding 1 cup of unsalted softened butter and 1 cup of granulated sugar to your large bowl. And go ahead and cream that together. And then add 1 cup of molasses and mix it together until it's nice and smooth. Then you're gonna add a large egg, like most cookies have, and 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. Now I know that the vinegar sounds a little bit weird, but it activates the baking soda and keeps these nice and soft. Stir those in, and then you're gonna add 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and our spices. 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of cloves. Stir that together until it's nice and smooth, and then add in 5 cups of all-purpose flour. Make sure you add it in about 2 or 3 additions, especially if you're using a hand mixer. You don't want to wear this, so mix it in slowly. Once the dough comes together, it's a nice soft dough and it smells like Christmas morning. Now it's time to prepare our dough. So this is a rolled cookie. So what I like to do is I divide the dough in half and I spread out a very large piece of either wax or parchment paper. And I'm gonna place the dough on the parchment paper and I'm gonna cover it with another sheet. I'm gonna press it down and then I'm gonna roll it out till it's about 1/4 inch thick. Now this makes a really large rolled out piece of dough. So if you're worried about that or you don't have a ton of space, go ahead and use 1/4 of the dough to start instead of half. Once you have the dough rolled out, you have to chill it. This needs to chill for at least 30 minutes. I think an hour is better. You can even pop it into the freezer to get it to be nice and chilled. While the dough is chilling, go ahead and preheat that oven to 350 degrees and gather all your cookie cutters. All right, now it's time to cut out our cookies. When your dough is nice and cold, pull it out of the refrigerator. I like to lift up the parchment and then flip it over and lift up the parchment on the bottom. That way nothing's gonna stick. And then go ahead and cut your cookies. You can use as many shapes as you want. It's gonna soften pretty quickly. So you're gonna wanna work quickly. If it gets too soft, go ahead and pop it back in the refrigerator. And then go ahead and transfer your cut cookies to a cookie sheet that's covered with either parchment or a silicone baking mat. And you're gonna pop the cookie sheets back in the refrigerator to chill again. I know it's a lot of steps for chilling, but it's totally worth it. Once you've chilled the dough for another 10 minutes or so, and once they're cut, go ahead and bake them for 5 to 10 minutes. Again, this depends on the thickness of the cookie. It also depends on the size of the cookie that you're making. If you're making small ones, it's gonna take less time. If you're making bigger cutouts, it's gonna take more time. And so cook them until they just lose their glossy sheen, and then let them cool while we make the icing. Now for gingerbread cookies, you really could make my favorite sugar cookie icing, which I will link up here. You can watch that video. But today I'm gonna make royal icing. Now there's lots of different ways you can make royal icing. I like to use meringue powder. And meringue powder is something that you just get at the craft store. They have it at Walmart in the baking and usually in the not the food aisle, but the aisle that has all the Wilton stuff in it. And I like using the meringue powder because I don't have to deal with egg whites, and it's super simple to make it. Now, I am not like a perfectionist when it comes to frosting cookies or making royal icing. So check down below and check my post. I'm gonna link to some of my favorite cookie decorators if you want to do intricate designs or have like flood icing and piping icing and all that. For today, I'm just gonna make a basic royal icing that I'm gonna use for like a basic cookie decorating. To make your royal icing, add 4 cups of powdered sugar and 3 tablespoons of the meringue powder to the bowl of a stand mixer, or you can use a large bowl. But I highly recommend the stand mixer if you have it. And then you're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 5 tablespoons of water. And use the whisk attachment and mix that. It's gonna take about 5 to 10 minutes to mix this up and until it loses that glossy sheen. You may need to add more water, up to 1 or 2 more tablespoons of water to get it to the consistency that you want. You want it to be pipeable, but not runny. Now, on the time on that, it's gonna take less time if you're using a stand mixer, more time if you're using a hand mixer. Once you have your icing, I'm gonna put it into a piping bag with just a small tip, a 4 or a 5 tip would be great. And then it's time to decorate our cookies. Now, when I decorate my cookies, sometimes I do outlines, sometimes I like to use sprinkles for eyes, sometimes I flood the whole cookie and then just add more sprinkles. You can really do whatever you want. I've got snowmen and Christmas trees and candy canes here. Just do it how you want. Let the kids get in there, have fun with those sprinkles. I mean, this is my favorite part of these cookies is the decorating. Now with the royal icing, you need to let them set. Once it hardens, it's gonna be hardened so they'll be stackable. And with royal icing, you don't want it to get have a lot of air. You wanna keep it nice and moist. So if you have any left over, make sure you cover it. Make sure that if you take a break while you're frosting, make sure and close the edges of the piping bag. You don't want any air to get in or it will dry out. And once they're frosted, we have some fun shapes. I've got snowman here. I've got some candy canes and some Christmas trees. The smell, it just smells like Christmas to me because it's got that molasses and all those spices. These are so delicious. Got my little guy here. Sorry guy, but you're really delicious. It tastes like my childhood. I'm gonna go enjoy him and put his friends in the freezer for Christmas while you keep watching for more Christmas videos.